Welcome to the Attempting Stand-Up Comedy Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Cambridge. This is called the Journal Entry episode, where I step into the studio and share with you a journal entry on this adventure of attempting stand-up comedy. So today I want to take a moment and just kind of reflect on where things are going for me personally on this attempting stand-up adventure. You know, it's interesting, the beginnings. So I started this during a COVID quarantine, and I took a class of comedy writing by comedian Rick Roberts. And about, less than 30 days later, I found myself at an open mic at the Orlando Improv Comedy Club, which is now called Funny Bone. And I met the host that night on November 16th, 2023, by the name of Carmen Vallone. And Carmen said something to me after the set. He said, "You're funny." And that was just enough. Those two words, "you're funny," was just enough for me to go, let me continue on this attempting stand-up comedy. And I don't label myself as a comedian just yet. I really look at myself as someone who's attempting stand-up comedy. And so here's where that led me. That led me to become a bit obsessed with the craft, learning about writing. I have been hosting live comedy events for 20 years on the promotion side and then as the host of the night, but not really being funny, just kind of welcoming the crowd and introducing the headliners. So to get on the other side of the microphone was like really stupid, actually, and really a great challenge because personally, I have left the stage for the professionals, and I've just been a great fan of comedy. Love laughter. I think it's probably one of the secret sauces to good health is a lot of laughter. So this is where it led me. I was just brave enough and probably more naive enough to go back to some open mics. So I've been doing open mics at the Funny Bone and then also in Orlando at Bull and Bush. And if you've ever been to an open mic, let me just say, not all the content is a 10. And even for me personally, you know, it's a hit or miss. And I think that's the point of open mic, right? You attempt, you try something out. And that is the brilliance of it. It's the freedom to try. So you can't go to an open mic with the expectation that the content's going to be a 10. It's impossible. You got to go to a live show where comedians have tested the content at an open mic, right? And then they bring, you know, the finished recipe, or at least the close to finished recipe. I like Jerry Seinfeld's quote that a joke is never fully written, and it's just constantly evolving. So I'm addicted right now to the open mic, and I just want to kind of make this journal entry in my own life by recording this episode on attempting stand-up comedy by saying, when you have the courage to take the stage and try something, it'll teach you faster than if you try to play out that bit or that comedy writing in your mind or on paper. There are comedians in countless interviews that I've watched where they talk about how the open mic was where their craft began to take shape. It wasn't actually, you know, writing in the journal, and it wasn't even talking to their friends about maybe some of their ideas or setups or punchlines or assumptions. But the reality was that once you got an audience to laugh at a joke, it almost galvanized it for you. And that's what I'm addicted to. So on this episode, as a journal entry in my adventure of attempting stand-up comedy, I personally want to say thank you to anyone who has ever attended an open mic. And I want to shout out to listeners everywhere. Please support local comedy. Go to your local comedy club, buy tickets, attend, laugh loud, please. All of the comics taking the stage need that confirmation the jokes are working. But more importantly, support the comedian attempting stand-up at the open mic, where it's an experience that they have never done before. I remember being at the Bull and Bush for a Wednesday night open mic, and sitting in the booth with me were two fellow classmates from a comedy writing class that we're taking with comedian Carmen Vallone down at Funny Bone. And one of the ladies that night literally was taking the stage for the first time. And it was like we were cheering her on with like great enthusiasm. It was almost like she was jumping out of a plane and parachuting for the first time. And that's really a lot of what it feels like, which makes me want to leave you with this. Whenever I do an open mic, on the way to the venue, I have a playlist on Spotify called Comedy, and I listen to these different songs. But there's always one song that I play right before I get out of my car, and that is Jump by Van Halen, because that's really what the experience is like when you jump on the stage to do an open mic. So thanks for you being on this adventure and on this journey of attempting stand-up. Please continue to support local comedy, attend the open mics. I'm addicted to it. I'm going to keep writing and keep attempting at the open mics to try out some material. And I'm also really thrilled for the comedians around me. There's so many of them here in the local Orlando scene, and then some of my professional comedian friends around the country that have toured with the Laugh All Night Comedy Concert have seen how comedy impacts lives and makes laughter kind of the secret sauce for a successful life. So thanks for laughing. And also, I'm thankful for all those comics that are helping me tweak and critique anything I'm attempting. This is not an adventure that you do alone. It's not really a secret magic trick that you crack the code on. It definitely takes that incubation of the idea with some other people. So I'm really, really grateful. So thanks for tuning in to this episode of Attempting Stand-Up Comedy as I make this journal entry and continue the adventure. Please subscribe at my YouTube channel, Tim Cambridge Comedy. Thanks for following me on Instagram at Tim Cambridge. And let's continue this adventure of attempting stand-up comedy.